Hi again, everybody. Today we're going to talk a little bit more about perfectionism and how it can show up in our lives. And maybe what we can do about dialing it down a little bit so we can be a little bit healthier and a bit happier and more at peace with our own selves. But we're going to do that in relation to the images that we might see on social media in particular, and look at how comparing ourselves to others can be harmful to our well-being and our growth. So psychologists have learned that children begin to compare themselves to each other aged around 7 or 8. And that's usually around tasks, around things that they're doing. So who's the best at handwriting? Who's the best at running? Who's the best at jumping? Who's the best at a particular game? That kind of thing. And so it's about that really at that age rather than how they look. And other people have, other researchers have said that social comparison serves as a process of self-socialization. So we're comparing, when we're little children, our own abilities and our limitations as well to others in our peer group. But appearance-based comparisons, those are a little bit different, and they typically begin in early adolescence for both boys and girls, so the genders are the same here in this regard. Psychologists have also picked up on the fact that social comparison can happen in two different directions. So we have this up comparison, and we're kind of comparing ourselves more favourably. We're better than everyone else. And we've got the down comparison where we're looking at ourselves and thinking, oh no, I don't compare very well to this person. They're doing so much better than me. So we can often compare ourselves quite unfavourably to other people. And social comparison can be a form of sociological self-esteem. We kind of deriving our sense of self through comparing ourselves with others. And this is a social comparison theory from Festinger 1954. So it's quite an old one. And yeah, the references will be in the description for anyone's interested in that. But when it comes here to social comparison, social media, we're really upping the game a lot with social comparison when it comes to that. And I've got a study here by Primark in 2017 finding a link between use of multiple social media platforms and increased depression and anxiety symptoms in young people. That's young people, young adults, aged between 19 and 32. Although this study, it did not establish a causal link, so it didn't find out the reason why that was the case. It's just an observation there. And a more recent, a systematic review, that's a review with lots and lots of studies, all the studies on a particular topic, was undertaken around this topic. And it also revealed that associations between screen-based activities and mental health problems in children and young people. So it's making that causal link now between the mental health and more time on the social media. But again, it concluded that more research is needed. So more and more research is needed into this cause and effect. So there could be many reasons why social media has been linked with increased anxiety and depressive symptoms for many of us, but also things like negative body image and sleep problems and even cyberbullying. But increased social comparison is one of the most powerful here when we think about the way that we use social media. Of course, more friends, more likes, more shares, that kind of thing, mean that there are many, many more opportunities for social comparison for us than when we're out in the real world. We're just walking down the street. We might only see a few people, but of course, on our social media feeds, there might be hundreds or even thousands of them all interacting with us. More opportunities for comparison. So when we look at somebody's Instagram feed and we're having a bit of a look, or their Facebook, we have to also be very, very aware that we're seeing them in a way that they've decided to present themselves here. This self-presentation, that we call it in psychology, can be incredibly far removed from reality, especially once we add in all those technical things, the filters, things like that. So people can appear almost like a character of their own creation on the stage of social media, or a character in their own movie. They're showing the world something that might not be very real, or it might not be an accurate representation of who they are inside. Rather, they're performing. And we relate that in psychology to Erving Goffman's idea that we humans, we put on masks. And we do that for a variety of reasons. Sometimes just to fit, sometimes to boost our self-worth, or maybe just for fun. So there are many reasons why we might do that. We might put on a mask. So when we're looking at others online, and maybe we're feeling bad about ourselves, we might be feeling unworthy or sad or ashamed or in some way less than, what we've got to remember is that what we are doing, what we're actually technically doing here, is comparing our inner self, our most intimate self, to somebody else's outer self. We're comparing our most vulnerable and our real and authentic selves to their shop window. That's what we're doing. We're not going inside that shop, looking around, having a poke around. And we're sure not able to go into the back room where all the trash cans, all the rubbish and the mess is. We can't do that. So bear this in mind next time you're scrolling away and feeling not so wonderful about your life and yourself, how you feel or how you look. So something you can also do in that moment when you do not feel so great and you're feeling that bit of distress with that social comparison, and maybe it can be related to the feelings of perfectionism. What you can do in that moment when you're not feeling so grand is to take a breath and just notice that moment of suffering, and treat and speak to yourself like you would a friend. And how would you do that? You'd say, oh, that sounds really difficult, my love, what you're going through. How can I support you? And be there for you. So you've got to say that to yourself when you're trying to practice that self-compassion in that moment of suffering. We're noticing the suffering, and then we're confident in ourselves. That's what we're doing. So that's something that you can do. So this video has been all about how we compare ourselves to others, how that feeds into ideas of perfectionism, and a little bit of what we can do about that. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been helpful. I hope it gives you insight and helps you to reflect on your own experience. If you've enjoyed the video, like and subscribe and share, and thank you for joining me, and I will see you again next time.